Enjoy your dinner, Seesaw. I'm truly sorry about everything. You were working so hard to defend me, but I was missing all day and we didn't even have a chance to talk.
She's right. When I met Iris at the training hall yesterday, they had already swapped places, and Iris was inside the sacred cavern.
I want to at least be in the defendant's box today to root you on.
But, well, it wasn't your fault. You were locked up this whole time. There's something more important than that, though. I have to ask you, why did you help your sister out as much as you did?
Huh?
If you had tried to get help at the Sacred Cavern yesterday, you wouldn't have spent an entire day locked up in there.
My sister... I'm sorry for her. She was abandoned by her mother and never got any love from our father either.
Yes, but it was the same for you too, wasn't it?
Yes, but at least I had Sister Bikini, who was like a mother to me. If only Dahlia had come with me to Hazakura Temple. I always loved her.
Okay, Iris. I'm sorry for calling you a bitch.
Dahlia was always so smart, so strong. Never complained about a thing. That's why I promised her that I would help her.
Are you talking about the fake kidnapping case 11 years ago?
Yes, I wanted to be useful to her in some way. But, as usual, I was too cowardly. At the last minute, I ran away. Because of that, Dahlia's stepsister Valerie ended up...
That was the case that wounded Mia so badly.
But things didn't end there, of course. Some people suspected that my sister was involved in the murder.
Some people? You must mean...
Yes, 2 defense attorneys. Mia Fey. And Not Godot. After poisoning Mr. Not Godot, who was getting too close to learning the truth, Dahlia even tried to kill the person who had unknowingly hid the poison for her. You.
That's right. Oh my god, speaking of poison, let me drink some right now. Ah, that poison. Super quench-inducing. It's the quenchiest. Drink cactus juice. It'll quench ya. There's one more thing that I have to ask you. Alive? Just be glad they're flies. There's been centipedes crawling all over my room since the summer started. Those are way worse. Debatably.
Yes, what is it?
On the night of the murder, the person that cleaned up the corpse of the victim, Elise Donim.
But no, that is true. They are easier to catch. You're not wrong about that.
Hey, let it be known. Everybody who's ever drank water died. So who's the real poison around here, eh? The poison or the water poison that everyone drinks? Think about that. Was it really you?
Yes, it was me. That night, after I rang the lights out bell, I went back to my room. At around 10:30, I received a call on my cell phone.
There's a problem.
Come to the Inner Temple right away. I got on the snowmobile and headed for the Inner Temple, but...
The path to the Inner Temple was cut off, right?
Exactly.
Can't just leave the body here. So you've got to do this exactly as I say, got it?
It was me. I was the one that received her body. The murder weapon had been left in her body so she wouldn't bleed too much. The staff that Mystic Elise always held.
I knew it! So the actual murder weapon was the staff!
Yes, that's right. I brought the body back to Hasakura Temple on the snowmobile.
But why? Why did you alter the body?
I didn't want anyone to know that the staff was the murder weapon. I didn't want to leave anything that would lead back to Misty Faye. So I dressed her in a robe and stabbed her with the Shinchisito. I wiped the blood off the blade staff and left it next to her on the ground.
Iris, just tell me one last thing. Tell me the name of the person that called your cell phone. The real killer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I can't do it. I can't say who did it.
I see. Defendant!
Yes?
The judge is calling you. He wants to see you in his chambers. He has some questions about Dahlia Hawthorne.
All right. Well then, I'll see you later. There's something I want to tell.
Don't do that to me.
Oh, okay.
Something she wants to tell me? So it's true. Iris cooperated with the real killer. Maybe even from the very beginning.
Phoenix.
Mia? How's Maya doing?
Physically, I'm not worried. She'll recover completely. But emotionally, she's been hurt very badly by this case.
I see. You don't mean she's learned who Elise Dotem really was?
Yes, I went to the medical office and talked with her. I told her everything I knew.
But why?
Maya's stronger than you think. I think she could take it. All of it.
What do you mean by that?
I want you to figure that answer out by yourself. The trial is about to restart. The real killer. You know who it is yet?
I have a theory. It's my attorney's badge! That's the real killer! I have a theory that Godot kinda got a hang-up after Mia died, which is why he hates Phoenix so much. And that he wanted to protect Maya when he saw that she was being attacked by Dahlia. But he didn't realize that it was Misty Faye. So, yeah. He had to cover himself. That's my theory. Iris wouldn't tell me who called her, but still. I think that just maybe I know who it is. That night, the victim was killed in the garden of the inner temple. And the criminal wasn't just there by accident. Which means that the killer knew of Dahlia's plan from the very beginning. It can't be Morgan, because Morgan's, well, you know, in solitary confinement, and she wanted to have Pearl set up everything. She's the mastermind behind all this. And it had to be someone who was outside of the Faye family in regards to all of this. Franziska was in Germany, and Loris is Loris. There's only really one option that I can think of who's relevant to all this.
And one more thing. The victim was moved to the Hasakura temple side by pendulum. In other words, the criminal couldn't cross the bridge. That means they were stuck in the inner temple side for almost an entire day.
We never did find out why Godot was busy during the first day of the trial, do we? Exactly. So the culprit was someone that wasn't in Hazakura Temple the following day. That's as much help as I can give you. The rest of the battle is yours to win. Or lose. Okay, I've got it. Thank you, Mia. Finally, it's almost time to bring this case to an end. What exactly did Maya see anyway? And who was it that actually killed Missy Faye? Whoever it was, I have to prove it. Me. All by myself. It's time for Phoenix's final trial! Question! How long is this final trial? Is it enough for an entire stream, or should I continue? 1.5 hours. Maybe order another pizza. Alright, we're finishing this tonight. Let's make it quick. Food break? I ate like a granola bar and like 2 pizza slices. I'm good. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the test we had performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck on the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. I totally forgot about it. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood or... Due to the time's restraints, a full test was impossible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Missy's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close, so both sides will soon need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. What I heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly. Eat more? Fine, I'll eat one more slice. I think my pizza's getting cold too, honestly. And the pizza's getting cold! Oh no, not the pizza! If any of my friends ever decide to visit New York, I'm definitely taking you guys to the best pizza places I know. Enjoy that apple woot. Oh my god, this chicken is so delicious. It's still actually kind of juicy even after like half an hour of waiting. I'm telling you, everybody, pizza might be the ultimate food. I don't think the only people who dislike pizza are those who are allergic to cheese. I'm just saying. The Italians. Italians are the freaking kings when it comes to making food. Everything that I've ever eaten from that's Italian, delicious. Absolutely amazing. I might be biased though because I eat Asian food on a regular basis, but still, Italian food, amazing. And, okay, so I should clarify. When I say I eat Asian food on a regular basis, I'm not saying Asian food's bad. But like, if you eat it like daily for your entire life, it just doesn't carry any oomph anymore. It's, you know, it's like the taste of foreign food, you know? Very well, please bring in the last witness. You know, I thought Maya was going to be dressed in the garb from earlier, but you know, this is fine. Witness, please tell us your name and profession.
Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Co. Law.
Is that actually true? Or is she just making that up right now? I'm biased because you're from a partly Italian family. Pasta is ingrained in your blood. You know what? That's fair too. I mean, she's not wrong, but does she actually do anything? Maya. She probably does have a title. She doesn't want to admit that she's now the master. Yeah. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the crane channeling technique.
I'm frightened. The Fey clan. I don't want any more to do with it. Maya, I want to hug Maya. I'm so sad. She's been through a lot. No, you're right, exactly. Maya, no.
The pain in the Fame bloodline must be unbearable. Virtual hugs for Maya. Very well. Now then, Miss Faye. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple, and you witnessed the moment of Miss Indy Stoneham's murder. Is this correct?
I didn't see any.
Straighten up this instant, young lady.
Huh?
Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? Seen the witnesses come out and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. A meta reason to have her in her usual outfits, that way they can have all the outfits from across all 3 games they can reuse for the final witness. Fair enough. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over... Maya splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness.
So you were struck on the head? I suppose it must have been the staff. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was.
Maya, think hard.
Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't.
Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well, then, Miss Wright, please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all.
Do I have to press her? Pushing someone who's emotionally distraught is generally not a good idea. I can speak from experience.
Passing through the garden on the way to spare pep room when it happened.
I also noticed my penalty bar is still down to the last bar. Oops.
Who else was on the inner temple side that night?
Well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remembered her saying that Iris would be coming later as well.
I might want to save.
Fair enough.
On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal.
So then, did Iris actually come later like she said? Well, let me think.
She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired.
No, I'm sure I didn't see her.
I'm sure real lawyers reload saves.
Yo, Burmseye, I didn't know you had a save system in you. Can you do me a favor and reload a save before the lottery tickets were announced?
It's a secret to everyone.
Suddenly someone struck me over the head.
Who did it? Who hit you?
Well...
Oh, recess the RNG? Dang. So it's like Pokemon lottery rules. Got it.
I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind.
You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was?
Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry, I just can't remember.
Maya is really having a hard time. What should I do?
Press harder?
Come on, Maya, this isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person?
Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right! It was dark, that's it!
It was dark?
It's not good to have too much light around when someone's undergoing spiritual training.
Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime. Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. Phoenix, it's Maya! Maya has nothing to hide in this moment! Maya's probably one of the most honest girls we know! Hell, she regularly admits to doing crimes in front of a cop! Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Donan, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head?
Stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern.
What happened afterwards?
My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think.
You think?
After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There was only two things rolling around in my mind at the time.
Well, now this is beginning to get interesting. So, what were the two things rolling around in your mind?
My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2.
You know what? That's accurate.
You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. I know, it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was.
No, I know yeah. Well, to be fair, remember the first case of Justice for All. I'm just saying.
That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable given the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you do then?
I think I screamed, "Help me!"
You may wonder how I got myself into this situation as Bubba Riley plays. You think you screamed, but you're not sure.
Listen, Listen! I was a complete wreck!
Oh my god, is Maya my spirit animal? Maya might actually be my spirit animal.
It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
She is my spirit medium.
Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes.
I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that was my last hope.
Wow. Sound like poor little Maya really was out of her mind.
I wonder what she meant by last hope.
Do I press her for more details? Wait a minute. Maya, what's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said my last hope.
Huh? What? I said what?
Look, you were facing an attacker you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me!"
Yeah.
But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh, well, you know, that's like what you do. What do you call it when that happens?
Maya's not doing so well up there.
Oh, yeah, Oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
What did you just say?
Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker I was yelling at. That was who I was screaming to for help. Oh.
What is it now?
I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
Huh?
Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind your attacker, there was another person?
I am. Well, I meant to keep that part a secret.
Maya? Listen, I said Maya is honest. I didn't necessarily say that she was good at being honest. She's also not very good at lying either, as demonstrated here. It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say.
A ton of pressure?
You're in a court of law here. Can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber.
Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony.
I can see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern.
A woman? Who was this man? Exactly what the way Red put it. Maya is honest, which is why her lies fall apart.
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see.
He's used this excuse twice now. Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden.
Yeah, about that. It was not lit during the night of the crime.
Now it's lit when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that further away, but not my attacker, who was close.
Okay.
Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
Maya, please.
And something warm splashed over me. I don't want to press on this, but I have to. You don't mean, was it? I didn't know it at the time, but I think it was probably blood.
Is she saying that when Miss Donham, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer?
At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything around me. That's when I lost consciousness.
Animal Crossing noises intensifies.
I worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by how she acts.
That was a terrible Animal Crossing impression. You're sounding more woomy than... You know, yeah, I did sound a little inkling, didn't I?
I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something.
I mean, you can give me money by subscribing if you wanted. That's one way of going about it. By the way, I should clarify, I didn't actually mean that. That was a joke. You don't... No one has to ever give me money. You only do it if you really want to.
Oh, don't, like I said, don't worry about it. I was joking. I was joking.
So there was a man standing behind your attacker.
Yeah.
That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Donham. Otherwise known as Misty Faye. Phoenix, you didn't have to clarify that part again for her.
A killer?
Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you?
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed a huge problem with her testimony.
What do you mean, what problem?
Maya, on the night of the crime, the stone lantern was out of commission.
What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No!
Order in the court, Mr. Godot, explain this.
Up, coffee 20. Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of cafe au lait.
Cafe au lait? Is that even legal?
Mr. Trite's words are the milk and you are the spoon. Your Honor.
I'm a spoon? I'm no spoonie.
Come on. Come on. Spoony bards. You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Hashtag Spoony Bard. Surprise! We're going to be raiding with another game topic. If he's not a bard, what is he? He's probably... You know what? Knowing the judge, he might actually be a bard. At least by D&D terms. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it.
What did you say?
If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony.
Nick?
May I? I recalled the witness's statement about her attacker. She said she didn't know if it was a man or a woman or an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker. No?
Order, order, order! What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions? Objection. Trite, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There is no other light source at the scene.
Double objection! There are only some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, did you see who the killer was in the dark? And now, you're trying to cover for him.
Cover for the man that killed her mother?
There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please. Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you.
Huh. You talk a good game, Tripe, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff!
No, Nick, don't! Please, stop.
Maya's trying to cover for him. Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth.
All right, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got.
And I am scared to show what I got. So how about a quick save?
Who was this person that Miss Faye saw in the darkness?
There's only one person that I can imagine emitting in the darkness. And he wears a nice bright shade, doesn't he? Emitting darkness, emitting in the darkness, man. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? Must be all the coffee emitting darkness. Oh yeah, exactly.
What? But how do you propose to show us something like that?
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night.
Conditions?
Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off.
What this is, but it can't be.
Huh. Yeah. That was a nice bit of deduction, Trite. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder.
Order, order, order! Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this?
Coffee 21! He had enough coffees for a kid turning 21.
Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it?
Huh. Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person.
What do you mean by that?
If you got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it 3 glowing red lights? There were 4 lights!
Well, witness, answer the question.
So, Dirt Dog, Godot might be a murderer. There's that.
You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya. I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man for a totally different reason. But what?
Witness, Mr. Wright, what the?
Stop your chattering, Your Honor.
Chattering?
Coffee 22. If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit and the body was gone. And all the snow around the snow lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man.
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor,
No need to apologize, as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination!
When I came to, was lying on the training hall floor.
So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right?
Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So then the person that carried you into the temple...
It could only have been the killer!
That's what I think, too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple.
By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed.
Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
It looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. Maya.
Have confidence.
I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again.
The torches were lit and the body was gone.
No confidence.
The torches were lit?
Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole crime scene had changed.
I'm gonna say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else it could be?
The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's only one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the ever moving the body?
That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was in the inner temple, Maya.
Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
Have confidence.
All the snow around the snow lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. Snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
No coffee dance. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away?
Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah. The area had collapsed and ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I now know why Godot did it. I think that's the most reasonable explanation.
Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount.
That's true. He could have scooped up the snow. Oh! Suddenly, I just realized. Remember how Godot was freaking out about the fact that he didn't notice the blood stain on the stone lantern? Godot wanted to cover for Maya. Maya looked like she murdered her own mom. So Godot was trying to save Maya by doing this. That's why Maya was trying to cover for Godot. Oh! And Godot didn't know about the blood stain. Oh! He could only see the blood in the snow. He couldn't see the blood on the statue. Or the ghost stone lantern.
It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them. Since the person did all that work alone, I assumed it was a man.
So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yes.
But earlier, you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker.
Nick, I'm sorry.
The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that?
Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on.
By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed, the torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. Yo, Timmy, how you doing? Trying to figure out a major thing at the end of Trials and Tribulations, so just a heads up on that. I am thinking so hard right now because I pressed everything, but I didn't really get much information about it. Yeah, but yeah, no spoilers, please. Ah, yes, the snowmobile! Obviously, the snowmobile factors into all of this completely. When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit and the body was gone. And all the snow had been around the snow lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Wait. What? Wouldn't the stone lantern just be the same thing again? Because, like, why didn't they clean up this then? Okay, I know what I need to present, I just need to figure out where I need to present it on. I'm gonna go with this one because it specifically lists the stone lantern about the snow around it being carefully cleaned up, but... Okay, safety save! Oops. I think I have the right idea, I think I have the correct solution, I just don't know which statement to present on. And that's another one for the objection count. Thank you for the 69 bits, K-Roll. Let's go with this one. That's a big nope. I might be jumping the gun on thinking that. Do I need help? Yeah, I'll take a hint from you, Burmside. No other hints from anybody else, please. Press statement 2 again. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
Well, why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately want. It's the crystal ball. It has pizza on it tonight. I swear, there's been so much talk about pizza tonight. Also, Burmside, are you serious? This is another one of those moments where I have to press a statement twice? All right.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did? No, you just have to press 3 and 4. Oh, okay.
Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me, for my sake.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden...
She may have thought that you had done it.
No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
There we go.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what happened.
They did it for your sake.
Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, if that happened, the body would have caused some major problems too. If her real identity had come out then, it would have been terrible. The Master Crane killed by her own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it.
But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you?
All right, let's try this once more with feeling. There we go. I had the right idea. I just didn't realize there was another statement to work with. The body of Elise Donan was carried all the way to Hasakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime. The snow that we suspected was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe that all of this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd.
Oh, and what would that be?
You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern?
You're right!
Right idea, Ron Penguin suit.
Order! But Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene?
Indeed. But it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of them all, the bloody writing. Copy 23.
But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern?
I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it, and I already know what the reason was.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern?
He didn't notice it.
Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice.
Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
Yeah, about that. You're right. There's no way any normal person would.
What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright?
There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed something, missed seeing the bloody writing altogether.
And who would that be?
Clearly, they thought it said percentage W.
Who is this person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing?
Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot?
This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. And I'm just going to skip this because we saw it earlier today. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? Can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Tribulations. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. Somehow spilled coffee on it.
There's something still bothering Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Oh, you know, Bloodstain Ritual Night. It's a really good, fun search action game. It was made by Iga. He used to make Castlevania. I highly recommend it.
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that smeared all over the apron.
That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Coffee 24. One for every hour in the day. Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters could have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them?
So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern?
Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's a reason why I don't drink red tea. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer. But there's no going back now. Oh yeah, red tea is the usual tea that you get at Chinese restaurants. At least that's the kind I get. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Donim. Green tea's alright. I still prefer red tea personally. Also known as Miss Misty Faye.
It's hard to believe that this may be true, however. Once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you.
Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. We've hit 320. Oh wow, I didn't know Misty Faye was red tea. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written in there.
I don't think
Oh!
Misty Faye's red tea.
Thank you for the 69 bits, K-Roll. Another for the objection count, and another objection that we just got, too. Perfect timed objections, I swear. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red.
This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow.
The snow? How so?
Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area?
Yes, why didn't he just take that area? Could it be?
Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he had to remove the whole area.
Isn't it more likely the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark?
Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine.
It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot?
Can I just say I'm really upset that Maya doesn't say hold it? I would have loved to have heard Maya say hold it.
But wait just a minute.
Maya?
Well, what is it, witness?
Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place.
Yeah, GBA limitations, it's great.
He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Maya. Can't testify to something like that.
Why? What do you mean? I may not look like...
After the murder happened, you didn't even exist.
She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me.
Maya, you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Trite.
Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearly was there at the inner temple, too. Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep shop. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
I'm sorry, what?
Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearlfay.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry, but what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on! Pearly would never tell a lie. He's way more honest person than I'll ever be.
Well, none of this is admissible. You know it's bad when even AA knows it's not allowed. Yeah. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness.
But Mr. Godot!
Let's move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections.
This is highly unusual, but, well, Mr. Wright.
Let's get this cross-examination started.
Pearly was stuck on the inner temple. So where do you think Pearl slept that night? In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place?
It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya. She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense. Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Donim. The next morning, she looked around, but she couldn't find anyone.
So you searched the entire temple aside, end to end?
Well, you see, Pearly gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there weren't that many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times.
The inner temple has 2 structures, a training hall and a spare prep room.
And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
There was a storage shack too. Rose was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack?
Next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in spare prep room.
Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge? What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl, all alone like that.
Well, we know that she had at least one friend in the sacred cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock.
She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls.
What happened after the bridge was finally fixed?
That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time.
So, it was your first time in the inner temple side, Mr. Godot? Huh? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question?
Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness.
What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor.
Touche, Mr. Wright. Oh well, what do you have to say, Mr. Godot?
25. Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. Please stop reminding me how hot today's been. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So you never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh? Ha! You want to say something trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is.
Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the inner temple side, right?
Yes, then Mr. Godot... He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
People would prefer this freezing cold temple? Yep. He cheered her up?
That's what Pearly said. He said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
I didn't think we were here to do a character witness.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush.
This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves. In more ways than one.
The truth is, there aren't many places to look on in the inner temple side.
Now, how would Godot act with Pearls? I'm sure he'd be a proper gentleman, right?
Policemen were all going over the garden with fine-toothed combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way. Godot style.
I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way. Judge style.
And I like to stream my own way. Limit style.
Stop crying. Here, coffee.
And I have some questions Phoenix style. So you cheered Pearls up?
When I found the little girl, the first thing she asked about was her cousin, Maya Fey.
Really?
The bridge had burned down and she was huddled up in the tiny shack with no heat. Even though she must have had a truly terrifying night out there, she asked about you before she said anything about herself.
Oh god, my throat's getting a little choppy. Let me get some water real quick. Early.
I noticed you weren't anywhere on the inner temple side, but I couldn't find it in me to tell her that. So I gave her my last cup.
He actually gave hot coffee to a 9-year-old. Okay.
With milk and sugar to hide the bitterness of the harsh truth.
What a sweet story. He had a thermos of coffee? Why doesn't that surprise me?
There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place?
He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed at least Donim. Alright, let's try pressing him on the second thing.
Here, stop crying. Coffee.
You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything?
It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern.
Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles.
The only thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall.
Beauty?
Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Well, I already know the mistake in that statement right there. Western taste? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy?
Oh. Oh wait, he was actually talking about the gravy! Never mind!
I'm an idiot! Hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Yeah, that's one way to describe it.
So from there, you headed for the prep room?
Wait a sec. What did Godot just say? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of importance here.
Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened.
Otherwise, he couldn't have killed at least Donim. Firmsai, is this another one where I need to press another statement to get more information, or am I good? No, you pressed enough. Okay, let's see now. Pearly was stuck on the inner temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearl— Wait a second! Hang on a second. He arrived at the time and he can still smell the gravy? Would gravy last a whole day in terms of smell? I actually have no idea. Hang on, let me take a look at this. Missy's face image is obscured by gravy. Yo, Kojin, how you doing, man? We're near the end of Trials and Tribulations. I am just being a colossal idiot right now and can't seem to figure out how to pin this case on someone.
And a save would be wise right about now, I agree. Safety save. Okay, so Pearly was stuck on the Inner Temple side that night. So Pearly was stuck on the night of the murder in the Inner Temple side. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. Okay, because the bridge was out. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. So that was 2 days after the murder. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Curly first and cheered her right up. Just finished this not long ago? Awesome to hear, dude. Hope you had fun with it. I'm thinking... what was the hint that Phoenix said? There's only one thing of importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? Must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened, otherwise he couldn't have killed police. Wait a second, he found Pearl... Wait a second, he found Pearl in the spare prep room. How did he notice the gravy stain on the hanging scroll? Enjoyed this game the most of the trilogy. That's awesome to hear. I think the smell of gravy wouldn't go away over time. If anything, it would get worse. You know what? That's fair. I think I have an idea. I was wrong. Okay. Hang on, let me reread this bit over here real fast. It would be really nice if I had a text log. That would be very helpful, game, but unfortunately they don't have it. I know they have it in Great Ace Attorney, thankfully. We actually did a prediction thing earlier, Kojin. It was either, will it be between 300 and 330, or is it going to be go over 330? No, they didn't add one to the port, sadly. The only thing odd I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Misty Faye, naturally, clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. So from there, you headed for the prep room. Wait a sec, what did Godot just say now? So Godot went to... Wait, so he... Okay, so he 100% went to the training hall first. But how do I prove that? Because I tried presenting the scroll that he was just talking about, but that's unfortunately irrelevant. Oh, wait, is that not it? Yeah, throw me a hint, because that was my last guess, honestly. Forget everything about Pearl. Okay, so it's not Pearl related. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. Oh my god. What do I want to prove here? Yes, Song Godot. Well, obviously I have to prove it that he didn't. He was there earlier, but how? What if it's the dagger? No, that doesn't prove anything. Wait a second. We technically don't know what blood this is. What if we present the dagger and he's all like, oh, hey, maybe like this was found at the inner temple garden. Can we see if the blood matches Godot's? Okay, that was a leap in logic if there ever was one. Stone lantern was not lit on the night of the crime. Taken the morning after the crime. You know what? Sure, I'll let Alive give a hint on this one. What'd you miss? Not much. Just trying to pin the case on Godot because, you know, apparently he's the murderer. Godot knows something he shouldn't. How did he know where Pearl was? But what do I present to talk about that? Imagine renaming yourself as the last syllable of your first name and the last syllable of your last name and then getting a T. You told me to forget about Pearl? Okay, so that's unrelated. What does he know? I mean, he knows about the gravy. But, you know, everyone saw the gravy by the time the bridge was fixed. Wait a second. How does he know that was Misty Faye? Oh my god, I had to write evidence. I just got confused on with the aspect of it. Dang it! Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the inner temple was long before the murder took place. Why you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll?
But Mr. Godot is right! That scroll shows a picture of my mother! As he once said, he's Godot's palette swap. Maya, I know you know who it is, but there's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this.
What's that wonderfully delicious smell?
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Buttered toast, then. Because gravy's much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen a hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye. Hold it! Wait a minute, Nick. Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look at the top. There's a crest there.
Ah, that is the mark of the master, correct?
Exactly. If you know the meaning of the mark,
So you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there.
True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
oh,
Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing.
Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place.
Copy 26, I think?
Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite?
What is it?
This whole theory of yours. It all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed.
Also, how do we know that's the current master?
But that's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene.
Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan.
Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of that plan?
I mean, it was opened once before, so yeah. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fate authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fey Manor for a year. However, by the time Little Pearl found these instructions, they had already been unsealed.
Unsealed?
Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them.
That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the inner temple.
And you still insist this crafty killer is me. You bet I do.
But you just said that the instructions were hidden.
So, I want to point out something. Godot, I'm pretty certain by now that Godot is indeed the killer. But I just realized something. I remember that Godot was the one who brought up the fact that the case wasn't shut yet because we haven't figured out who the killer is. Why did Godot decide to bring it up again?
That's right. Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden.
If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Give a random smash fact about this game? Okay, so Phoenix will have a Godot alternate skin, and one of his taunts will change to him trying to drink coffee, but because it's Phoenix, he accidentally deems it too hot and tosses the cup into the air. But because it's Phoenix, the cup lands back down on his head and recreates Coffee Phoenix. Boom.
Yes, and when was that?
During a visit.
A visit?
Morgan Fay told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Coffee Ix? Yes.
Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center?
Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. More importantly, Godot knew about the instructions and read about them, but didn't destroy it before Pearl could read them? So he's at fault for much of this happening. That is also true. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot.
Order, order, order! Mr. Godot, you're under fire again!
This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Coffee 27. Is Morgan still alive? I think she's still in the detention center according to the records, right? Yeah, according to this, she's still in solitary confinement.
Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee.
Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean?
It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur.
I knew Xehanort was Xehanort all along!
Kingdom Hearts, give me everlasting darkness.
And he
did all that just to protect this witness?
That's right.
You're accusing me of this crime. I have to ask you. Why would I do this? This girl has nothing but a... That girl's nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural.
However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs. Also, can I get an objection, please? Hey? I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick?
Objection!
Or another objection. I think we just went over 330 with that. Also, thank you for 69 bits, K-Roll. Nope, we still have one objection left to maintain it under 330. Maya, I guess you're doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh? Never mind! K-Roll pushed it over. Woo! I'm sorry for everyone who wanted this under 330.
Okay, Tride, I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you.
What is this?
There's only one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. The one person that ties you and Maya Fey together intrinsically. There's a very good reason why Maya's Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister.
Mia Fey?
You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney.
Wait a second here! Mr. Godot is a defense attorney?
With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot. His real name is... Go, Diego, go! Also, thank you for cashing in the prediction results, guys. Isn't that right? The game was rigged from the start. It's true, though.
Last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell.
It should, Your Honor. All this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court, the tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. she knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. Bitch! But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney at the office where Mia worked at. Oh my god! I didn't even realize Diego Armando was a combination of Godot! Oh my god! Ah! I didn't think of that. It's all my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself. Mia. Can't cry yet. Ah, still such a cool scene. I love it. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure sweetheart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria.
Ah, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned.
Coffee 30. Even I didn't see it coming. You never see it coming. If only Dahlia Hawthorne never Norded me. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee.
Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press.
But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all my hair turned white due to damage it caused. That's terrible. In the Japanese version, Godot's last name meant Tree of God, which may be a reference to waiting for Godot. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Apparently, it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. And one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of... This is so good, but it's also so goofy. Godot drinks coffee to stay awake because he slept more than enough.
5 years? You were asleep for 5 years?
And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered. Why is your goatee still black? And the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death.
The woman you loathed?
The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee. Dahlia Hawthorne. Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. Someone like me, someone who had slept away their best days. There were only 2 reasons left to live.
And it was for those two reasons I decided to become a prosecutor.
If I may ask, what were your two reasons to live?
First one was you, trite.
Huh? Me?
If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault.
It wasn't like that.
I wanted to see for myself what kind of man you really were. So that's why you became a prosecutor? My other reason for living. She goes by the name of Maya Fey.
You mean me?
You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Crane Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in a perfect position to do something about her.
That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center?
I knew the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that,
Or, like Burnside said, you could have, burned the letter before Pearlie saw it, just saying.
I could keep that girl from being caught up in it.
That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, he never would have helped out.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices. Accomplices? Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Fey.
Wait, you found Misty Fey? What? So you knew that Elise was freaking Misty Fey this entire time?
I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Fey.
But how did you contact my mother? She'd been missing for almost 20 years.
Officially, yes.
What? What do you mean officially?
31!
It was me, Limit, all along!
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government?
Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Crane had great authority.
Even without her official position, Misty Fey still wielded great influence. Police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
So, my mother was cooperating with you? Wow.
Don't ever forget, no matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She always...
That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fey if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother.
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
You mean Pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together.
We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up.
She was worried and followed me to the inner temple.
That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. And not BDSM gear to restrain herself.
Maybe you couldn't. Maybe it's because she had to do the actual channeling pose. You know, like with your fingers crossed and all that.
She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What? What do you mean?
If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself.
As Master Karain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. That's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to. What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple. Just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne.
Godot.
Anyway, that's all I'm gonna admit to. Right.
Huh?
There's no doubt about it, you're a great defense attorney. But, you're going to have to do the rest yourself.
So much lore drop!
Background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye. And I'm sad to say you, Mr. Godot.
31, or is that 32? I lost count.
Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own.
No, Nick, please don't! Maya. I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too!
Maya, I know that.
Nick!
But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify.
He definitely has enough coffee to finish, but he also throws whatever coffee he wants at Phoenix's head.
Miss Faye, your testimony, please.
This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick.
All right, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder?
Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights, 3 of them. I thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness.
These red lights, I thought you said you don't remember seeing them.
I'm sorry. I thought I saw them, but then they disappeared all of a sudden.
Ha! Things break, Trite, even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Misty Faye? Looks like you still can't prove it.
I was telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me.
Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness!
And the final cross-examination of this trilogy. Light shining in the dark. I don't think you can make a mistake about that.
Yeah, you're right. I think I saw them, but I can't say for certain. And I can't tell you for sure if they were from Mr. Godot's mask either.
I don't get the feeling she's covering for him anymore, but just after that, you turned towards the lights and called for help. Isn't that because you thought the lights were coming from Mr. Godot's mask?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's what I was thinking at the time, but I can't remember. After all, there was a person I couldn't identify in front of me.
Maya's life was in terrible danger at the time. There's no way she can remember details of the scene perfectly.
Alright then, let's go on with the testimony. What did you do when you saw the red lights?
I thought I asked for help, just then I was splattered with blood. That blood. Was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood?
I think so, probably. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by. It was a woman's voice.
So that was when the victim stabbed the killer stabbed the victim from behind with the murder weapon. Is that right?
Without a doubt, Maya was in the middle of a really dangerous situation. Anyway, the victim was stabbed by the murder weapon. What happened after that?
He wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her.
Struck back? How do you know about that?
Well, you're right. I didn't see it exactly, but I could tell by the sounds of their breathing and movement, and also the smell of blood.
You have witnessed more horror than any young lady should have to in one life.
I feel so bad about Maya.
I think Misty Faye knew it was coming too. Yeah.
So then what did you do at that point?
I couldn't move. I could just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark, but I had no idea what to do.
Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier?
Yes, I think so. But suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark.
They went out?
Yes, suddenly I couldn't see them at all.
What could it mean?
If the red lights were coming from Godot's mask, and they went out right in the middle of a fight,
maybe the mask was damaged.
or maybe it was knocked off.
Or maybe the batteries ran out, right, Trite? Or maybe those little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working.
What could have really happened then?
Just at that moment, there was a terrible scream.
What do you mean by that, just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the lights went out?
Yes, that's right.
Scream that you heard then. Was it Dahlia Hawthorne?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice.
What? So then that scream came from the killer?
That's gotta be it.
I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken blade and attacked the killer with it.
And then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh?
After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow. I guess.
Well, Mr. Wright, it seems to make sense to me.
It sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. Well, when in doubt, save and go with your gut. My gut tells me there might be a contradiction in there. I'm sorry to say this, but that interpretation could create an enormous contradiction.
That makes sense. After all, my deductions are almost certainly never correct.
You know, one thing I do appreciate about the judge, he's at least honest with himself.
Remember the testimony she just gave? Before the killer let out a scream, Maya said she had already been splattered by the victim's blood.
In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim.
Is that right?
She couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body.
The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream was a
been something other than the staff. I already figured out what it is.
If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, Trite.
There's only one thing I can think of that could have been used as the weapon here.
If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could she have used to strike back at the killer?
Well, blood says it doesn't match the victims. It's the gravy! Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
This dagger was found at the crime scene, stuck into a pine tree. I'm sorry, Bond's pine tree. There you go.
Yes, the detective found that this morning and brought it to me.
Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this, and she managed to wound him as well. Objection, please.
Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean he was wounded. For all we know, the blood on the dagger could have been from the victim.
Double objection. Have you forgotten that the blood had already been tested? How am I still going? Oh, I ordered a pizza earlier, Twy. The chat actually paid for it. Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must have been the killer's blood. Yeah, the chat is the best. I love everyone in my chat. Y'all are awesome. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body.
So you're saying the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer?
Exactly! A DNA analysis of the blood would prove that it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yes, and yes, Mr. Godot, it would prove that it's your blood. 33!
Nice theory, Trite. Order into court!
Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test.
Huh. Let me ask you something, Trite. Let's say that it turned out that I was the killer. Do you really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that?
What?
Just think for a second. This dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought to me. There's already blood on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom. Yes, what does that prove? Well, if I really were the killer, I would have washed the blade off it and planted another person's blood on it.
It can't be.
In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, Trite. That blood, it doesn't belong to me. Not a chance. In any event, it seems to establish that the killer was wounded. All right then, witness, continue your testimony.
Hold it! Wait a minute!
What's the problem?
I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation. You know what? Considering how often, Maya's been hanging around us, she's bound to pick up a few of our bit of our style, wouldn't she? Maya? This dagger, you said that it wounded the killer.
That's right.
But, if Mr. Godot had really been cut with the dagger, his clothes should be bloody or have a rip in them, right?
Maya?
Maybe he just changed his clothes. I'd solve the contradiction pretty easily. Don't quit your day job, sweetie. It's okay. What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder? Everyone that was on the inner temple site got trapped there.
Oh, that's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the inner temple, Mr. Godot was already there waiting for them.
He never had a chance to change his clothes. Shh. Don't point out the contradictions in my statement, Woot. Also, objection. Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him.
But no one could have predicted a lightning strike that shut down the bridge. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes?
Did the judge take smart pills during the last recess?
I feel like we made the joke before about that.
Well then, maybe the killer took off his clothes before he committed the murder.
I already know the answer.
He wasn't stabbed anywhere on the body. He was stabbed in the face.
Of his face that was conveniently covered.
That way he wouldn't get any blood on them.
That's impossible, Trite. You know how cold it gets up there at night. After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid.
I don't know. Godot being naked.
Oh no, he's hot!
Ha! So that's all you've got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Right now, if Mia Fey were here, you would have closed the book on this case already.
If Mia were here?
So come on, Trite! Can you do it or not?
No, I kind of agree with Paper Star in that.
So how about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Godot of being the killer. But can you prove it? Have you got even one piece of evidence?
The question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. That's the only choice I have. I was taught that that is one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. And I have plenty of confidence. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you wanted it.
No confidence.
Ha! That's good. A fighter till the bitter end, Trite.
The pursuit! OG pursuit! Or cornered, either or.
Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the ultimate penalty?
Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Godot? Because it doesn't matter to me. I got the one piece of evidence I need.
And it's art.
Thank you for the 34K rule. Because it doesn't matter to me, I got the one piece of evidence I need. This would be your full bar, by the way. I can believe that.
Give me a break. You've got nothing, Trite.
So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I gotta think outside the box and approach this from a different angle.
All right then, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you got.
There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger.
But, we decided it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a blood stain on his clothing.
There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound.
Well, what did you say?
Hidden? This is it. My last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I don't need to think about why there's no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound.
Have confidence.
It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you've got.
Where is this location where you say the killer hid his wound?
Okay. I know the answer. I know the answer is his face. I'm just not sure if this is the right thing to present. Would a profile picture work? I'm gonna assume yes. Please be right. Please be right. Please be right?
Huh, I don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, I don't need to know. What I do know is that you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite?
Oh my god. This is the dialogue that is the same whether you get it right or wrong, by the way. Okay.
What was that just now? Yeah? It can't be. You're living on through him?
Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. Oh my god. It's beneath your mask. At Poe's Masquerade. I'm a shapeshifter. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right. Your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Godot, would you mind removing your mask? If you had a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Oh,